Alright, so as is our tradition at our final service, tonight we begin, our second, we follow up the beginning with, you ready?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Hey!
Why was there a picture of me?
Our clicker's not working, so that's, I'm sorry. Alright, so we have senior wisdom. Now, at this point, normally I have all of the seniors come up here and sit. You don't want to do that. For seniors that want to share some wisdom.
You seen yours count?
What?
You seen yours count?
No.
Are you gonna like ask us something? Or
Why don't you grab a chair?
Okay.
you wanna ask us something?
Okay, do you guys have like serious wisdom or is it fun?
Legitimate wisdom. I like legit. All right. We'll go with legit. And then after you're done with your legit, we have the slideshow.
Yeah. All right. I guess what I have to say is that things might not feel the way that you think that they're supposed to. Like, walking across the stage in graduation, I was like, this just doesn't feel like all it's cracked up to be. This doesn't feel exciting to me. It doesn't feel like that gigantic next step that I thought it would. And I guess I wasn't disappointed. It was just more of like a realization that sometimes things just happen and you're not like necessarily prepared for it. You just kind of do it, you know? And yeah, it was almost like I was just kind of aloof with it, and I just didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. So there was that, and I just think that if you go throughout life expecting everything to be absolutely amazing, you might be disappointed sometimes. Which, I mean, yeah, okay, I'm a pessimist, I'll say that much. My other piece would be aim low and avoid disappointment. I'm kidding. No, it's just...
That one's for you, Emily.
Yeah, that would be Emily's girlfriend.
No, just...
Cheap shot, man.
If something doesn't live up to your expectations, it doesn't mean it wasn't good.
So, like, another example was, I was really excited to go to my senior prom because I did not go to my junior prom. And, and like, it was okay, but it was not the night that I was expecting. Like, you expect these big events, like big turning points, and then they just seem like another day. Like, my last day of high school was just another day. My day of graduation, I went to school, and then went home, and then went back to school. That's all that happened.
It's not quite the John Hughes Hollywood moment.
Not quite.
Definitely
What?
not.
Come on!
Hollywood lies to us?
I was absolutely bored throughout all of graduation.
Can we have someone summarize that into a more that you take away?
Life is boring.
Well, like, I guess it's good to hope for stuff, but it's not how you necessarily picture it to be.
And don't let Hollywood get in the way of what you think it's supposed to be.
We had a full series on that this year.
Audrey, do you want it to sound like a cliche?
I want you to tie Jesus into it, yes.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, like, I think the biggest thing is that a lot of times God takes things in a different direction than what you think, than how you think.
Yeah, microphone.
All right.
Make it so people can hear it.
God takes you, life, and you, different directions than how you think He will sometimes. And while it might feel different and awkward and maybe not what you expected it to be, it's what his plan is.
Thank you.
And we have excellent biblical examples of people who fight that. And
We have excellent people examples in this room.
yes, indeed we do. At the moment, of course, I'm thinking of Jonah.
Yep.
By a whale. Sorry, big fish.
Okay. So, another feeling that I felt through high school was like really lonely. And I know that plays in like a lot because I know a lot of people end up feeling that way. And it's just, the big thing is to know that you're not alone. Like, God puts people, Audrey, that's for you. God puts people in your life to help you grow, to help you last, and to make impressions. So,
For you too, baby.
and just know that you may feel alone, but you are never really alone.
You have an awesome community right here.
These people are seriously wonderful. I know, like, we're spreading apart, but you all have your respective friends, and I know that they will always be there for you. You guys have anything else?
I've got something kind of silly to say.
Matt's holding in wisdom. I want to hear Matt's.
Matt is very wise.
Just give your graduation speech
Can my wisdom be it's better to remain silent and look wise than to speak and become a fool? 'Cause that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Especially like, I don't know, I tying that into Jesus. It actually is really relevant because you see all these Christians who are just so willing to like blab all day long about their faith and how great it is, but then you can obviously just like walk up to them and punch giant holes in their faith because they're saying so much, there's so much wrong, but there's only a little bit right. So I think silence is often a really good response to things because the less you say, the less can go wrong. I know for me that's a giant thing. The more I talk, the more dumb things I say. So.
Can we delve into the silly stuff?
Are we ready to be silly?
So, case in point, take a look at Matt real quick. Now take a look at me. One of us has a beard, and one of us looks significantly better than the other one, and it's definitely Matt. My wisdom is that everything is better. Everything is better with a beard. Everything.
Women are not better with beards.
Fair enough.
Women are not better with beards. I personally don't think women look better with beards.
Brandon. Andy.
Well, one thing I would have probably learned from my high school time, I know we kind of went to silly stuff, but don't take a lot of stuff for granted and kind of live in the moment and cherish things because eventually it'll kind of go away and you're in the real world now.
What does Jesus have to do with that?
Start clapping.
Yeah, don't take Jesus for granted.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine's kind of silly. If you ever learn sign language, don't mix up your signs. It makes people cry. What did you do? I once told a deaf girl to go home instead of eat.
This is true for any language that you learn. And this helps Jesus because then you could give them false information.
And you don't want that.
Yeah, and you don't want that.
I guess you're okay.
This is my last comment, I think. Raise your hand if you've ever heard somebody tell you, like, while you were a freshman or like a sixth grader or something like that, like they're gonna like to tell you, oh, like it goes so fast. Just wait, show of hands. So no one. All right, you guys are lucky. Okay, you guys.
I mean, we were over here, but that's cool.
All right. I'm not gonna be the guy to sit here and tell you that, but it is true. And looking back, no, like, I'm not gonna be the guy to tell you those exact words, but the thing is, looking back, it's true. And you're gonna get to that point, like you're gonna be a senior in high school and you're gonna be graduating and you're gonna realize like, wow, that did go fast. And just pay attention to that, that's all.
I'm very wisdomatic.
Oh, how I do my sick games?
That's a good one.
Hit the gym.
All right, maybe we're good.
Protein shakes. You know.
That's wisdom.
So,
Leg day.
Don't skip leg day. Oh no, I'm bulking right now.
okay, Sarah.
But school wisdom.
Okay, so especially those going into high school, you may think it's cool to slack off, but it really comes back and haunts you, especially your senior year when you're applying for colleges and such. Yeah, like I slacked off really bad my sophomore year, and it really came back to bite me in the bottom.
For the seniors who have graduated, keep that in mind as you go into your freshman years of college.
I'm pretty sure that doesn't apply your freshman year of college.
And for Audrey, give God your best. Yes?
Don't put anything, don't put your name on anything you're not proud of.
Okay. So this one's actually a thought entirely that will hopefully make Audrey a little bit happy. I was thinking about this earlier today, and it kind of dawned on me. I think it was probably during church this morning, because I've been having a pretty good time for this to happen. But what I realized is, because I've noticed this in myself throughout, but I just like, it came back up this morning, so it wasn't some giant epiphany that I had sitting next to Neil. But anyway, what I was thinking about was how your relationship with God is like, it should be like your relationship with your friends, with people that you're close with. And I realized that something that we fall into with that is you have that friend that you do a certain thing with. And that friend's good for that thing, but eventually you're gonna get sick of that thing, so you take a break from that friend. And what I kind of thought of is, don't let your relationship with God get like that. Don't let it just be, I go to church to go worship God. I go on stage to worship God. Because what happens is it becomes just that. Worshiping God becomes going to church. It becomes being on stage. And suddenly, He's not in the other parts of your life. And really at that point, it's like your relationship with Him isn't even like a relationship. He's just there and you're like, it's something you're doing. It's becoming part of your daily like ritual. And I feel like basically, let God be the spice of your life. Do different things to keep close with Him. And that's something that kind of hit me this morning during church. So I hope Audrey's happy.
I was literally just gonna say that it might become a chore, because I know like when I was younger, going to going to church every week was, my mom made me. And at some point, I had a brain switch, and it didn't become a chore anymore, but it became something that I wanted to do. And if you're completely expected to go, I think it kind of makes you want to go less, honestly. Like if everyone expects you to be there, you shouldn't be going there for everybody else. You should be going there for yourself and for God, obviously.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Oh, and Amy and I missed the khaki memo. But then her and I matched.
The guys are, yeah, it's guys versus girls. It's all right.
Okay.
You're all good. See, you guys are in uniform. All right. So, for the second part of this evening, we are going to have our few staff come up. Now, obviously, we're not all going to fit on stage all at once. My recommendation is we could like pile around here, sitting-ish, and pass around the microphone. And actually, yeah, I need to make a change on that. So, talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
All ended. Alrighty.
Did you just hang up on him?
No.
You hung up on Ben? Up to you?
What are you doing?
Front, is that what you said?
Sorry, Emily. I had to.
It's okay.
I thought it was better because I hadn't said anything yet, so it was the first thing out of my mouth was like, that one was for you. Set the bar really low.
Aim low and avoid the spot.
I was thinking maybe we'd like layer up, but okay, we can just have one really long line. It's okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So, welcome, and especially welcome to some folks you haven't seen here for a little while. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Ben. And what?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
As much as I love looking at that back wall, maybe somebody turn the laptop on?
Yeah, except you see, there's all sorts of cords plugged into it. So if we try to turn the laptop around, they're gonna get unplugged.
I'll help them. Tech support is here. Okay.
Now you get the side.
Hold on.
Yeah, now you're.
Hold on. That's gonna go there. This is gonna go here.
Hi, Jeff.
I'm working on it. I don't work here anymore.
Well, now we know.
What if Ben actually
Oh, yeah,
just
like
stayed in
cord.
that position?
No, that's okay, guys.
Connecting.
That was self-control.
What was that like that?
Thanks, man.
He's connecting. All right. Connecting.
Going like super close and having it, and she was great.
All right, come here.
And she turned the opposite way, right?
Oh, yeah, I noticed that too.
My boss bought 6 and so I had to make them and set them down, and I was holding the one by like the end where like you like pull it back. Well, you see, I started to slide it and I snapped because it fell so hard, and I tried to catch it as it snapped. So then now I do that.
All right, I think we're good. Still there? All right. Better?
That is much better.
Okay, so
Lording above everyone.
what?
Said I feel like I'm lording above everyone.
See yourself, man?
Just be careful. It's precarious. This is still thinking. Okay, so obviously we have, you can text in questions, but we're gonna actually start with a couple of feeder ones. Top memory.
Like what?
Positive or negative?
I was gonna go with positive and ask a different question for the negative.
Okay.
She wants to go first.
So like going off of not like procrastinating with everything with schooling, like take that seriously because I didn't graduate on time because of it. I found out like 2 days before graduation I wasn't going to be walking across the stage, and I regret it so hard. I ended up doing an online course that took like 3 days, but it still just was kind of really crappy to not be there with my friends. No, it was not momentous at all. It was a lot of violent crying.
Did Ben die? Yeah.
So yeah, just take school seriously, because you can't exactly hit the rewind button.
All right, yeah, let's go top memory. Happy memories.
I've got one.
Ben's got one.
Let's see. This probably only applies to Audrey and Debbie. I don't know. Probably one of my favorite. Oh, and Alyssa. I see you down there. Is that Sarah? Is that?
Yeah, Sarah.
And you too, maybe. This is pre-Fuse. I think one of my fondest memories was setting up and starting that first class. Our very first retreat, we had absolutely no idea what we were doing. That was a lot of fun. That was kind of like the beginning of our trying to do things that were bigger than we could probably do.
I think my favorite memory goes back really early on in the ministry too, and it's got to be that first Access retreat that Jeff and Ben and I did together. I think only Sarah and Alyssa, you guys, and Audrey, you might be the only three who were here for that either. It rained like crazy, and we came up with all these ridiculous things to do with the students, but they really persevered, you know what I mean? I think through everything that we did and came up with, we really saw the best of those students and what they were capable of. Because I know that I came away thinking there was a lot of really goofy stuff that went on, but there was a lot of really great stuff that came out of that retreat. So if I had to pick one memory, I think it was that first Access retreat at Chain Lake State Park. That was my favorite.
My tent was strong.
Yes, well, you didn't get
You didn't make Alex set yours up.
But we did.
I was underwater because you said make the kids set the tent up. I did that, and I almost drowned.
But we did learn that air mattresses float on 3 inches of water.
In my defense, that was my first time ever building a tent. I should not have been doing
And
that.
as your punishment, we made you dig a hole.
Yes.
I slept like a baby.
Nobody wants to be in a room with you because you snore so loud.
He runs away.
I want to say my favorite memory was before all of you, and it was only with Ben. It was even pre-core, because I sat in this room when it was white tile and Formica tables, and Ben had asked for some volunteers that wanted to work with the youth to come to a meeting on a Sunday night, I think, or maybe it was right after church, I don't know. And I think there were 4 of us that came in, and Ben had this wonderful video presentation that he showed a little clip of a band on stage and a bunch of kids bouncing around, raising their arms, and all singing together. And he said, this is what I see in 5 years. And this is what I want to get going here. And I had 3 young boys that were just coming into teenage years who needed a really positive influence. And I signed up. And we saw exactly that same vision 5 years later with views and just like today, you're all clapping right now. But it wasn't 1,000 kids, but we've had 100 kids, and we've had all numbers here and there and everywhere. But the influence that man started sits here today. And I want to thank you, Ben, for that, and I'm sure all these people would like to thank you too.
Okay, so one of my most positive memories would probably have to be my first Fuse retreat, honestly. Thank you, Stephen. I hadn't really been here all that long, and then I was just kind of like, okay, I'll go on this retreat. And one of the nights, I was just kind of walking along, and then I started talking to Justin. And we still talk about that night, and he's like, I don't know why I sat down to talk to you. But he claims to be happy that he did. So, I don't know, it was just really cool to see God work through him, because I really needed someone that night. And it turned out to be someone who was going to become a really close friend of mine. I love you.
Okay, well I had 2. It's kind of hard to choose between them. But definitely the first camp out we did here. I will never forget that Ben and I think we showed up late, but we got here and the Ferraro girls, and I think Robin was with them, they basically had their tent in pieces everywhere with no instructions on how to put it together. And Ben and I looked at each other like, oh no. So we spent a good 10 or 15 minutes getting their tent set up before it got dark out, because it was approaching that time, which then brings me to a fire lighting.
Oh,
and I think one of the best things, I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my entire life. We thought it'd be really funny to make the brush in the back explode. Well, if you give Jeff Kester a propane tank and gasoline, he will make that happen. And if you want to hear someone and you want to hear him run fast, do that. Well, both. You heard and saw. And I think the other thing, just to kind of piggyback off that, was the night that Ben came home from the first pause that we were ever asked to come volunteer at. I was not in the place to be doing that. And Ben came home so excited about it. He's like, I'm going back tomorrow morning, you should come with me. And I was like, I really don't want to. I had other plans and things that I wanted to do. And sure enough, I decided to come and have not been able to leave. So I really don't know what I'm going to do come fall when Sundays at 6:30 come around, because this has been my life for the last several years. So you can go now.
Okay. I have my best memory and my worst kind of all wrapped into the same thing. It was, I think it was Pause 2012 when we were at Holy Cross. And one of the best memories was we decided we had to black out all of the windows in the gym cafetorium. And first of all, we had to find a ladder, and the only ladder we could find that was tall enough was the ladder they used to change light bulbs, I think, in the sanctuary. And the only way to get it was to carry it around the building and everything else. And then the ladder was still 3 feet too short to reach the top windows, so I was the only one dumb enough to climb up there. So I think I spent 3 hours standing on the top rung of the ladder that says "Do not stand here," trying to black out windows. Barely able to reach them. And then realized after the retreat that I had to climb back up there to take them down, which was not fun. My worst memory of that retreat would have to be how horribly bad the boys' room smelled.
Oh, yes!
No, that room was epically bad.
No, I swear it wasn't me.
I think Alec was in that room, weren't you?
It was bad. I
Kai
didn't
was in there.
contribute to it.
Kai
Oh
was
man,
in
it was
there.
awful. I think somebody died in that
I think it
room.
was partially Nate's socks. It was Nate's socks.
All right, just a handful more, and we'll move on to our first question that came in.
Okay, I'll just be quick. Really, the Insight retreat, I've been on 2 Insight retreats. They were both, Rachel, was yours an Insight where you talked to Justin? Props. All right, Insight was, the 2 Insight retreats that I've been on have been very, very fun. And I especially like, I was just saying this, it was epic, the things that we got Kai to do this year. He's not here to defend himself. Like, you know, on a retreat, you can convince people that normally wouldn't do things to do them, like act like Pocahontas. Or lots of things. So that was for sure, the retreats are definitely my favorite memory. And there's so many things in retreats. If you get a chance, you should go, really. It's worth it. Maybe not to Insight, but whatever it's called from here on out.
My favorite memory was going on a mission trip to Harrisburg, Illinois, and starting the Book of Eucalations with Julia. We have so many inside jokes that sound so weird to everyone else, but I love them. Really? You must email me that. Because we all have we willed it to other people. They're taking over. We're good.
I would have to say my favorite moment was the moment I walked in here. My first views, I was really nervous. I was homeschooled, completely unsocial. I had a bad experience with my first church. And Alyssa, Audrey, and Mandy, she's not here, but she was a big part of this ministry in the beginning, were all standing in the front door. And I walked up, and they all gave me like this big group hug and would not let go for seriously 5 minutes. And I kind of knew that they were trying to get me kind of feeling awkward, but I wouldn't let go because I felt like I belonged. And that was the greatest feeling I've ever felt in my life. The most challenging moment would probably be my sister Beth's first youth retreat. When I almost had to send her home because Ben Merwin put couches and chairs in front of her room and broke the tape because he was bored. So that was probably my most challenging moment.
You would, Ben, you would.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where's Tessa? I miss Tessa.
She's sick.
I think my favorite moment is a moment that no student ever sees. You guys, a lot of these leaders have talked about how great the retreats have been and all that stuff, and that is very true. But one of the things that us as leaders also get to do, and I know especially like myself and Jen and Ben and Jason at times, when we're planning for these, that was always the most fun for me. Because you get to basically have a blank slate and say, what are we gonna do this year? How can we top last year? And one of the things I always remember is when we went up to, I forget what retreat center it was, just the 3 of us. And we looked at what can we do? We've never, Covenant Harbor was, and we'd never done anything like this before. We've always done retreats here. And when we went there, we're like, here, they showed us the quote unquote best room that they had. And we're like, this room stinks. You guys, this does not fit what we're gonna do. And so I remember they're like, well, we have this room. We're like, nah, the room's not gonna do. Well, the last room that we have is this really old, shabby gym that nobody wants to use, and then it's practically gonna get torn down and remodeled. It's like a complete afterthought. The 3 of us got together, that's the room. We'll take it. And I think sorry, Carter. That throughout all the ministry and the fun times and all the stuff we've had, like that epitomizes what Fuse was. Like we saw an absolute hollow thing, and we're like, you know what? No matter what comes our way, we're going to make this great. And you could give us the worst gym. You know what? It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. We don't need the best stuff. We don't need all that. We just need God, and He's going to show up, and that's what we're going to do. And guys, I tell you that because that's really what this whole ministry was about. Like, just having God show up. And we always knew that He was going to. We would put forth all kinds of hours in planning and printing and all kinds of stuff to make it look great. But we always just trusted that God was going to show up no matter what. And things went wrong. Things that you guys don't even know about went completely wrong. But God still showed up and did amazing things in spite of that.
Things our bosses still working
Oh yeah, things our bosses definitely didn't know about, which is probably why we're not working there anymore.
Hashtag the truth.
All right, well, I have a question here from the audience. Are you ready? We'll go back to mine. We're almost out of time. I'm not important, it's okay. So, what is the most awkward thing that you remember happening? Yeah, there are some videos that are pretty awkward. No, we're not going that route. Does anybody have any?
I got one.
Diana has one.
Watching Jeff, I think you were trying to snowboard without the snow?
Yes!
The mountain board. Watching Jeff do that, and I think he did a backflip too.
There's a video of this somewhere.
Yes, there is.
I would say that if my kids were here, they would tell me the most awkward moment was watching their mother and all of the leaders do the flash mob. We're all in this together up on stage here. The looks on their faces to me was priceless because it is a parent's job to embarrass their kids more than anything in the world, and I did it that night.
But what about the Snuggy Blue?
Yes, Snuggy Blue, Ben's Snuggy Blue song, and Nate doing the interpretive dance to that. I play that on his birthday every year, and he hates it. Then there was always Sarah. Whenever we had a dance, Sarah would break something. Right? Right, Jane?
Yeah. We only had one dance, I think that's the reason.
Never mind. There was that camping trip where all I heard Nate say is, "But the world is my bathroom."
Oh.
I didn't open my tent.
Oh, yes. It was Nate, yes. The world is my bathroom.
And the phrase that kept going on was, "I can still hear you, go farther away from the tents." See, this is the stuff that we're not here anymore.
Being one of the few
What was that about? God always showing up?
Yeah, right. Being the only female leader, there were a lot of awkward moments for me. Because I would always be in the middle of things that usually are guy to. I'd be like, "Hey, I'm here."
You were one of the guys.
Remember?
It's okay, I feel you.
That's your fault.
I hope not literally.
There were certain instances where,
Right there.
let's just say students were distracted and the leaders didn't count very well and some students got left behind. Here and there.
Okay, I want to tell this story. All right, so we are in Red Lake, Minnesota, and we went to Applebee's, which there's a song somewhere about how horrible Applebee's was and how sick we were after it. It's another time. But when we left, I had all my students in my van. Jen, were you missing any students? Only for a second. She drove away and left a student in a different state, and it was his birthday. It was his birthday.
But here's the good thing, he turned 18 that day. No laws broken. He was an adult.
Have you ever wondered why you signed those permission slips?
We just have to make sure that whoever comes off that bus is wearing the same clothes. It's okay.
We were saying, this is mine, like we were saying in the leaders meeting, this story came up, but I don't think Ben was here. And there was a time when Ben and I kind of met, and he had his first of 18 hernia surgeries? And so he was out for a little while, and I kind of oversaw the core for a little bit. And it was myself and Mitch were kind of in charge. Mitch Martin, if you guys remember him. Eric Fedier got really, really sick one day. Here. Were you here? Okay. It was really early though. And so he got really, really sick and threw up in the toilet in the men's room, which is not a problem, right? He comes up to me and Mitch and goes, guys, I threw up. It's real bad. And we're like, oh, well, how bad can it be? Mitch and I went in there. I think there's throw up still in the grout in that bathroom. He threw up so much he clogged the toilet. I don't know how you do that with throw up. Like, seriously, how do you do that? So poor Eric was so embarrassed, and I'm glad he's not here because I'm telling the story, but I told it numerous times. But he was so we left, and Mitch and I don't know, I don't really work here, so I mean, we're just gonna we'll wipe it a little bit. There it is.
Check it out.
It's Ben's problem now. Anybody else?
How about that rock band?
Oh, yeah.
The short shorts and the cows. All I remember about rock band is really... When he was you?
Yeah. Should have kept that.
I know you guys are having that. That's a plaid thing. Plaid kind of thing.
Same kind of thing.
Plaid.
Kind of looking
Plaid.
Kind of looking
Bird noises. Bird noises.
Closing thoughts.
Big bird
I
noises.
have a small story. Okay, so there was a leader meeting a few months ago, and I'm sitting there eating fries, Chris's fries, and I'm like stealing fries from him. He starts feeding them to me, like a bird. And then he goes to hand me one, and I go to eat it. And he's like, he pulls it back, and I'm like, fry. And he goes, make bird noises. Make bird noises, and I'm like, and then he feeds me the fry. And now it's a thing. Bird noises. That's all I got. Bird noises. Awkward moment. You want this back?
It wasn't the awkward moment when I threw your shirt at you?
That hurt. I mean, it was a great welcome. It was a great welcome. Or the day I got here, when I didn't even realize that I was going to be coming to this youth group, Steven just was like, hey, you should come because I want you to sing in my band. And I auditioned for Alec and Matt and Kai and Steven. And Alec was like, hold on, I'll be right back. And he ran out and he grabbed Audrey. And he brought Audrey in and he's like, you need to hear him sing. And I sang. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And Audrey was like, all right, you're singing for us now too. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I guess so. Sure. What?
Put you on the schedule for the next week.
Yeah, next week, and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know any of the songs. I didn't know who any of you were. I was like, yeah, exactly. I was forced into this. It's the greatest thing I've ever been forced into, but you know. I do. Hey, I don't care with that. It's fine. Now I'm really done. I'm really done. I promise. Wait, no one.
You said I could come up here.
It's
My own fault.
Don't let me up here if you don't want me.
You know, I don't know that there is a specific favorite memory, so much as it is just having a huge family. You know? Between you guys, you know, and you down in Indiana, you know, just having a huge widespread family is amazing, and that's been a huge part of this ministry, and I look forward to carrying that forward into whatever God has in store for us moving forward, which oddly enough is the thing I want to start talking about.
Segues are weird.
You did that on purpose.
Is that what you wanted to say earlier?
What?
Your favorite memory?
Transition.
No. That was just something that came out. Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Do you want to stand up and leave?
That's what I did. It's okay.
Rachel just left. That's all right. So what we're going to do with our seniors after we're done with the service is we'll gather over there and we'll huddle around them and pray over them. So we'll save that for later. In the moment, would you guys be interested in knowing what we're going to be doing next year? Yeah. So Sunday nights are going to look quite a bit different. Obviously, we're not going to be doing the huge band very frequently. We will do it sometimes. And then for the most part, it will actually be breakout sessions like we have at retreats. So that will give us small group discussion times and let us actually be really flexible with what we're talking about and being able to spin off and do separate things, and even as small groups being able to go do different things. Okay. So actually, what I'm really looking forward to is some of the flexibility. It also lets us incorporate quite a bit more of our regular congregation members. So folks who don't have to commit to being here all through the school year for every Sunday. Now, having mentioned that, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our staff members here who have put in so much time and effort and being willing to step in and participate in the spiritual growth of students here. Thank you so much. Obviously, none of this would be here without you guys. Thank you. Thank you, seriously. And some of us are going away for next year. GT. Thanks, Tim. So make sure to give him a hug before you leave. Or So, this is why I didn't answer the most awkward question, because it just happened now! Yeah, so, if you have any questions, obviously we have a whole thing of summer activities, which I'm going to be announcing at the end when we're wrapped up. But are you guys interested in knowing how the voting went? Yes. Maybe there's some curiosity there? Maybe. Only since Friday, okay. Are you sure? You really sure? Mr. Denon, you're going off the screen for a moment? Is our audio ready? Audio is ready. I would turn off the lights, but I can't get there without tripping over things. So, ready? And if you want to hear Jeff, it is, he is really hoping for.
Jason's super happy fun time.
What is it? The new. That's not the thing. What is it? It's not the thing. I was busy, yeah. That's it.
fun so far, so I have a summer to figure it out, right? All right,
It's a change.
are you ready? No. After all that buildup? Mr. Gannon, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, all right, so you're still there. We just can't see you on the screen. Very good. Excellent.
I
All right.
can't read that. What does it say?
Boulder. B-O with like a U and then an L-D-E-R.
Because you're older.
All right. So, what I'd like to do right now is pray for us. It's going to be a little bit of a selfish prayer, but that's all right. And then, yeah, I'll get all my tech out of the way so that you guys can reset. So, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. Well, I've got everything. Well, I'm praying for the ministry next, and then I'll come back up and talk about something, and then we'll go pray for the seniors. Okay? After I'm done talking now, but before I talk next time. Here. Okay, can I pray now? Okay. All right, let's pray. Lord God, it has been an amazing journey and incredible to be a part of this this ministry. And as we move forward into the future, even though things are changing, our focus remains on you, Lord. Continue to grow us, continue to teach us as we move into our planning stages and our summer activities. Lord, may we always forever worship you and hold to you as the one and only true Savior. Lord, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for these people here. Thank you so much for the leaders, for the students. Lord, you astound me. You amaze. Lord, be with us. Be with us in this transition. Help us to share our vision, share our excitement, and yeah, be in us. In your holy name, amen.
All right. Like a hand in the face. Very good. Lord, we have come to the end of another school year, and we're here, basking in your presence. Lord, it is amazing that these students have been able to share their talents so willingly and freely. It's amazing to have been able to see them grow into the people they are now, and look forward to the future that you have laid out for them. Protect them, guide them. And Lord, as they leave this place, help them to share their excitement, their joy, their faith with those they run into, those that they meet. Lord, thank you.
Thank you for Ellie and Matt and Brandon and Sarah and Amy for all that they have been to us in views, but also just in our own lives. I'm just blessed by that. Thank you for everything.
God, I thank you for what you've done on all of these seniors' lives. Thank you so much for blessing them. Thank you so much for blessing us through them. And you go on and on for what each person has done in their life. Whether it was on the softball team or doing ultimate or maybe terrible things I've said to Sarah. But yeah, I just thank you so much for the companionship and community that these people have brought to us. And I pray that you continue to show them that there's so much more in life than this little Christian fuse bubble that we have here, or Boulder bubble as it may be. Yeah, God, there is so much brokenness, so much hurting in the world, and you call us to be missionaries, to be ambassadors. You call us to bring healing in those places. Call us to bring your light in the darkness. And I just pray that as they move forward to retirement college, when it can be tough for some people, let that light shine in a sometimes oppressive environment, God. I pray that you give them strength. I pray that you give them courage. Yeah, just continue to be with them, continue to bless them. And I just pray that they continue to work wonders in other people's lives and keep working through them, God. Yeah, I thank you again for this.
Lord, I pray that you bring healing to the brokenness that these students may have, Lord, and the hurts that are in the past and the hurts that are coming, Lord. And I pray that you protect their hearts, you protect their being as they go forward, and they move on, Lord, into a new chapter of their life. And I pray that you give them guidance in decisions, big and small, Lord, and that you just continue to show them that they are to pursue you just as much as you pursue, Lord, and that this is not just a one-way relationship, and that they need to give back, Lord. And I pray that you continue to pour your love onto them, and your comfort, and your wisdom, Lord, and that you continue to shape them into who you want them to be, Lord, and who they will be. And I pray that you be with them as they move on, and that you continue to shape who they are, and that you fill their being with your love so that they can shine to others, Lord, because everybody needs love. And we say the things that we need to hear, Lord, and I pray that you give these girls the words. And whether that just be sitting next to someone not saying words at all, Lord, I pray that you give them the silence, and that you give them the attitude that they need to have. Lord, and I pray that you continue to be in their lives and to grow their faith and to have them grow their faith, Lord. And I want to thank you for bringing them here and for placing them in our lives, Lord, for they are just a true blessing. And they bring joy, and they bring friendship and laughter. And Fuse wouldn't be what it is without these students in it, Lord. And I thank you for that. And I pray that they continue to branch out and to share their joy and their love with everybody else that they need.
Lord, we just pray that you be with all these seniors. You help them to continue to seek out positive relationships as they go on to bigger and better things. And that they just recognize the importance of finding other people that know you and love you and that they can fellowship with. But Lord, we also just pray that you help them to know that if they ever stumble, use that word family, that they always have a family back here they can come back to. There's always people that will look at them and say, we forgive you, and help put them back on track. And Lord, we pray that for everybody in this room. That you can continue to be a group that just knows you and loves you and wants to continue to have a better and stronger relationship. Lord, we pray that you bless this ministry and continue to bless this ministry and all the amazing things that you have planned for us in the